Awesome. Well, Xander, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Before we sort of dive into the meat and potatoes of the creator economy, obviously we first met in Miami. I don't know if you remember. We were in
Yes, I
Miami.
do.
You guys were over, you and Laura, and we'd sort of just set up shop. I think we just sort of raised some money. We were starting to scale in the US, and since then, obviously, we've stayed in contact as we've looked to scale, click, and obviously seen the amazing stuff that you guys have been doing at Wild Vision. And so I guess first and foremost, you've been there for a good few years. I think maybe 4 or 5 years. Can you
Yeah,
just let the listeners know a bit more about yourself, but also what do Wild Vision do?
yeah, of course. I'm Xander. I'm head of business development at Wild Vision. I joined the company as the first salesperson about 5 years ago now, when it sort of just merged. And we're a content syndication agency. So what that means is we simply take creators' content from YouTube, their long form content, download, repurpose, optimize, and then publish for multiple social platforms, whether that's Facebook, Snapchat, now Microsoft, Spotify, connected TV platforms like Prime Video, Fire TV, Tubi, you name it, we pretty much do it. So when I first joined, we had maybe like 10 creators and we were only running on Facebook and Snapchat. And then by the time we met, we probably had maybe three or four platforms and a couple of hundred creators. And now we're knocking around 700 creators. We've got over 10 different platforms, and we've got offices in the UK, Serbia, Australia. So we're,
Wow. It's
yeah,
a massive, massive, massive ride. But I guess, when people go to the Wild Vision website, it's all around passive income,
yes.
and that's sort of what you guys have mastered. And I think it took me a while to get my head around it, but could you just explain sort of how you've been able to take some of the content then, and I guess would you call it repurposing, or obviously you said content syndication, but how would you describe that for someone that maybe has a YouTube channel, doesn't know who you are, and is looking to sort of have content going elsewhere?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, having a YouTube channel is great. You've obviously built up your community, you've got a good audience there, and you're mastering your long form content. What you're and it is a full-time job in itself. So the YouTube channel takes up a lot of your time. What we're offering is we're coming along and saying, hey, you built a Facebook page maybe in like 2013, and yeah, you posted a little bit on it, but you were just uploading videos from YouTube to Facebook and weren't doing anything different to it. You've got to treat different social media platforms as different beasts. You've got to feed them in different ways. So then you're massaging algorithms in and speaking to different audiences, because the same Facebook audience isn't going to be the same YouTube audience. So we're expanding your reach, and we're also opening new sources of passive revenue streams. So it's just about taking your content to the next level, making you more well known, and obviously giving you an extra bonus for all the work that you've done. It's like having an extra pair of hands on a sponge and squeezing it out even
Yeah.
more. We're making sure that you're picking up absolutely everything.
And you edit the content as well, or it's just repurposing?
Yeah, so it's editing. A lot of it's a lot of editing. So it's taking a long form piece of video, a piece of content, whether that's 20 minutes, and then we'd make that into a mid form, and then that would be somewhere between 8 to 12 minutes, or we'd even go down to short form. So there's those are like 1 to 3 minutes, but it varies for each platform, and we're optimizing for each and every platform. We're talking to all the platforms that, like when Spotify were introducing or toying with the idea of getting creator content on there, we were one of the first to get on boarded and be like, look, this start
Yeah.
funding creators through and earning creators even more money, and then just adding no extra work, but just more revenue and followers. So we're doing all the work, all the heavy lifting. They don't even need to send us the content. We download straight from YouTube, and we work with the creators to understand a bit more about their brand, and we become an extension of their team. So there's even more like customer service in terms of the
Yeah.
community that or the team that we have bolted on to the creator. They have direct access to the people that are working on their content. So the content managers, you have account managers, you have directors involved. So if you have any
Wow.
questions, then just rely on us. But if you're
To
hearing of
go
any,
through.
yeah, we're just here to support, and without paying out an actual salary. We're all commission based.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that. It's
Yeah.
a pure commission, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember you talking about like billions of views, literally
Mm.
just out of nowhere from people that weren't even on Facebook.
Yeah.
Do you see certain niches do the best, or it doesn't really?
Yeah, certain niches on certain platforms, obviously like Facebook, for example. Food is always a big one. Automotive is got great CPMs across pretty much every single platform. We're starting to see a huge spike in true crime across connected TV, Spotify. On Microsoft, we're seeing a lot of pros in, again, automotive, history, aviation, those sorts of channels tend to do quite well. So there is a passive revenue source for everyone, but typically right now it is long form content moving, optimizing for short form. We're working and toying with an idea right now, testing out a few creators on the short form side of things because short form
Okay,
tend to get a lot of AdSense revenue, but we're taking short form content to mobile lock screens. And then now we're in a Black Mirror age now, but lots
yeah,
of telcos and telephone companies, tech companies are now starting to want a slice of the ad revenue from For You pages like TikTok. So they've
yeah,
basically designed their own dynamic lock screen based upon your interests. And then say, for example, you're into your fitness and then you've got like a fitness influencer or a fitness piece of content. And then you're like, oh, that's interesting. You click on it, and then it takes you to their own For You page. Scroll through, and we've got some really good results from that so far. Just some strong signals, but we're just testing slowly but surely, and then we're gonna obviously look to scale that. I mean, we've scaled all our
yeah.
operations.
That's mad. I mean, one of the things I get every time we meet is the edge case things. I mean, we're in the creative space, but I feel like, especially you guys and you particular, have a pulse, finger on all the
Yeah.
pulses. Because I remember you talking about Microsoft, got to be a few years ago.
Mm.
Talk to the people that, at Click, we have a lot of creators that are starting out, right? They're literally they may have created some content, they have that education piece which people are resonating with, they're starting to monetize, that's why they've come to us. So they may be a little bit early, I don't know, for someone like Wild Vision to get involved
Mhm.
with, but rarely do we, I don't think we ever hear about platforms like Microsoft of where they should be looking. So how does that work, and what other platforms have you seen that sort of are, untapped?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Microsoft was like a secret a couple of years ago, and then now it's not so much of a secret because there's like quite a lot of people. They opened the doors up a little bit more, and now a lot of
Yeah,
people have come in and started onboarding themselves. But I mean, that we started funneling creators over really early and helped build out their whole video platform. They are leaning more towards shorts now. I mean, that everyone wants short form content. It's
yeah,
just AdSense revenue behind it. So for the new people starting out, the creator industry kind of swings in a pendulum, whether the short form content is getting rewarded at a certain time or the long form is getting more rewarded. Short form's great for reach and brand deals, and it's quite easy to get that going. But long form, in my eyes, ultimately wins. Like we are transitioning into the new TV era, and that's where
yeah.
you want to be. So if you're debating where you should put your efforts more, then definitely put it into long form. And like you want both, obviously, but like long form will always win in my eyes. And
Why?
then
Just because the end user, or us as consumers are going to start to just or continue seeing more social content rather than TV. You think it's going to continue going more, or
I think it's obviously we're gonna make like creators now are not really creators, they're their own media businesses. So they are developing a lot more and getting bigger production value and better as you're building upon that. Like absolutely fine to start out as short form and as our attention span gets shorter and shorter, I might be completely wrong in what I'm saying, but I also think that when you want to watch something really good, you need a big screen for it and you want to be
yeah,
engaged. You can't watch Avengers Doomsday in a vertical format and in a short amount of time. You want to watch it for a long period. But yeah, sorry, I've got where we were going there.
yeah? But you think that the coaches still should? That's what you think is the win, I guess, in the long run.
Yeah, the win in the long run, obviously, like doing fitness tutorials, I think you then have more data points and more retention. Like a lot more watch alongs are obviously great. A lot more platforms want that. If you're wanting to build a community, it's great giving them like a few tips, workout tutorials. But then when you're doing a workout along with them, you're doing a hit workout with them, you're actually building some sort of connection with them. And that's ultimately, as humans, what we want. You can give them as much information as they need, and they could be endlessly scrolling, but they're not still going to the gym and then looking through that. If you're there with them, motivating them, that's something that, like, personally as well, I've done that a few times when it's like stretching or yoga or whatever. You feel a lot more connected, a lot more involved, and that's ultimately what people are going to be more inclined to buy or support from you. That's the long form is
Absolutely.
always winning.
Yeah, I mean, we for sure see the live stream element still as the main driver. Weirdly, blog has sort of coming back as well,
Yeah.
but the live stream element, even when we moved out of just being fitness and had like digital marketing coaches and business coaches, when they started to do their coaching corners or teaching people when they were in the room, for sure the retention rate's like close to 90% when those coaches do that a lot versus people that don't do it a lot. So that's super interesting. On streaming then, I guess, where do you see that? Like, we'll get onto AI, but is live streaming still something that you see a lot of your creators doing, pushing?
Yeah, I mean, live streaming not so much for the creators that we work with. That we do work with quite a few Twitch streamers, and taking their content from Twitch to Spotify or other platforms as well. But in terms of live streamers like TikTok live streamers, I know that's a very lucrative business, and I know if you're a TikTok live agency, that is something you should definitely be involved with. Something that I'm
Yeah,
still very keen to be involved with,
yeah,
just trying to find the right resources to put behind it. But yeah, I think live streaming is something that's always going to be around. Like, it just happens to pop up in different forms, and like playing games with your audiences and watching TV. I mean, there's a company called Gaggle. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they're great guys. They're ex-Twitch employees and
okay,
built up a software where basically, you can watch TV as a Twitch streamer, and then they're looking to expand into every single platform and plug in. But they've got the licenses from the likes of Taskmaster or Supermarket Sweep, and then you can watch TV along with. It's basically Gogglebox, but I like to
okay,
it's Gagglebox.
yeah,
You're watching TV along with your favorite live streamer or your favorite creator, and you're
okay,
watching it along with the community, and you're allowed to interact with the games and play along. That's what I think is kind of like the next level for live streaming, is the more interactivity, the more chance that you can get to create memories
yeah.
digitally. Like, that's where you want to be, and then obviously translating that into real life events, because that's all ultimately where you're going to get the best experience. Live streaming's always on the rise.
Yeah, I mean, TikTok shop is insane what people are sort of earning and how it's operating. Because I don't think is it still not live in the US? I don't think it is. No,
Really?
I think it is in Canada, right? But it's not the same
Different form.
as, or is it not Canada? Not sure actually.
Maybe
But
it's not
the
Canada. I feel like TikTok Shop in the US is different.
yeah.
But you've got
Oh,
this.
sorry. Yeah, it's Canada that's not got it yet.
Yeah, I feel like there's still a distinguishable difference between TikTok Shop and there's TikTok Live. So there's TikTok Live where you're
Yes.
just talking. You don't need to sell any items, and people are gifting you and you're playing some sort of game with them. Like, that's where
Yeah.
you don't always need to be selling products. Like, you obviously
Yes.
have your specialists that do that and they do it very well. But there's the TikTok Live streaming, which is actual just people who want connection, and then that's where they find it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you still think that was going to grow though, or
Yeah.
you think more to? Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's been growing. I mean, they told us about it like 2 or 3 years ago, and then has only just continued to grow. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no sign of that slowing down. And whether it's on TikTok or another platform, you're always going to get it.
And you're like I said, you're on the sort of edge. So are there any platforms we don't know about? Not for passive income, but any platforms that creators that are just starting off should they be looking at? We hear a lot when we speak to the coaches and creators on trying to give them some sort of value that, how do you stay on LinkedIn, Threads, X, Instagram, Facebook, you know what. But a lot of them also are like, well, they think they missed the boat maybe on Instagram or some of these others. Is there anything that's coming up that you know of?
I mean, I'm all in on LinkedIn for creators of,
Yeah,
as in like, if you had to just choose like two platforms, you've obviously got your main one, whether that be your YouTube, your Instagram, your TikTok, Facebook. I mean, like Instagram and Facebook, you can instantly delete, like and put as to one. You've got
yeah,
you can just press a button, and then you've got both of them covered, right?
yeah,
That's half your work done, right? And then you've got TikTok, obviously is slightly different, but like it's yet another platform. It's still short form and it's vertical.
yeah,
It's not as like as much of a heavy lift as you doing a long form and trying to repurpose that. But I think LinkedIn is something that is very early on, and the more this is a lot less saturated. There's still like some top creators knocking about and doing some B2B
yes,
stuff, but if you're doing something interesting with a brand, why aren't you showcasing it to the industry and the people that are searching and actively wanting to find other agency partners to do brand deals or to do activations or do certain things? If you can speak from your authenticity, LinkedIn's a place to be to do more business.
yeah,
I think creators are very much lost in like trying to feed all the other platforms and make sure that their followers are all happy. But great, just don't ignore LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's got some real power behind it, and you can even do some outreach yourself and look to, if there's brands you really want to connect with and really want to work with, why aren't you messaging those people directly? Those decision makers.
it's and so many are not on LinkedIn. It's mad. It's mad. But yeah, it's just the funny thing with LinkedIn is that, and I see it on comments as well, where some LinkedIn users will be like, "This is not for LinkedIn. This should be on something else." I don't know if you've seen that before. It's getting less and less because we see more video, we see more,
Yep.
not the specific LinkedIn post, but for sure, it's becoming a whole just channel like of everything.
Yeah.
So we definitely promote that. Yeah.
You need to obviously work a little bit harder on LinkedIn because you need to think about how your content actually relates to it. Because if your coaches are coming on and being like, I'm just going to post a workout of like the hit that I did or the chest and shoulders workout that we've got today. Instead of that, try and think like what's actually going to be beneficial for the people that do work and sit behind a
Yeah.
desk all day every day. Like look at it from a slightly different lens and still be you're building a whole new community there, and then they're going to be interested in you from that to then looking at your other stuff. It's just a slight different variation that you just need to cater to. But I think that's where you're going to get a lot more value. And I don't see that opportunity being done right now. Like it's a lot of
Yeah.
B2B
Done
stuff,
well.
but it's not been done well where like a fitness influencer has come on and said some chair exercises that are good, or like, you
Mm.
know, if you've got
Super
someone for
interesting.
doing like your 5 minute daily thing before you go for lunch or whatever, like you can come up with different formats, test and try. But that's something that I would heavily recommend.
Yeah, I love that. And one thing that I wanted to talk to you about was community. And so, you've got huge creators. Obviously, you're doing a certain specific thing with the content and the content syndication, but I'm assuming you obviously see their operations and things like that. For some of the sort of creators that are moving up and they're getting bigger and bigger, 5,000 in their community, whatever it might be, or let's say subscribers commenting and are active, let's say for YouTube. How do the top creators manage their communities nowadays? Do they have teams behind them? Are they still solopreneurs? Do they not bother? Like, how do you see them doing that at the moment?
It's a mixture of all three of those. You've got top creators that really don't bother and are just focusing making their content and partnering with agencies that maybe might help. And you've got people that have built teams and got really solid foundations because they've got so much to build upon. And then there's some others that will try and read into the comments quite a bit and still try and remain active. I obviously think, obviously the use of AI these days, you can probably start teaching the likes of Claude as much as you can to like what your tone of voice is, and then just
Mm.
trying to replicate that and ask it for some ideas for like a poll. Like just make the resistance to actually engaging with your audience and your community a lot lower, then that kind of obviously helps a lot. But yeah, I think a lot of them do tend to have teams supporting them, which is annoying. But there's community, you're only ever going to get more of a ROI the more you engage with your community and you actually take the time to help them, especially if they're on that subscription model as well. Like, they are literally paying you. So, you've got
Yes.
to.
See, it's your job. Yeah. And so AI,
Yes.
talk to me about what have you been deep diving in,
Well,
first and foremost.
we dabbled in, we're still doing some as well, like licensing content to AI models. I think at the start when those doors were just opening, like the AI companies were just like, give me all of it. Give me absolutely everything. It was all about volume and it was all about, trying to get the most amount of content for probably the cheapest price. And then made some good money for some good creators and lots of volume. But I think we always knew that it was going to become more niche. So now the more niche it is, like right now, I think the model or the content that they're looking for, which is quite a strange one, is like dash cam footage, CCTV footage,
Interesting.
the likes of like car crashes, accidents, which is a bit of a weird one. But as to why they would want that information or why they
Yeah.
would want that data. But that's currently where the market was. But then, like, a month or two ago, it was more about like dogs and animals and pets. So it really just, they're trying to get absolutely everything that they can. So that's been one of the biggest like kind of AI licensing industries, that it continues to grow. But yeah, then there's obviously like loads of different softwares that are out there that help with editing your content a little bit more. It's still not quite up to scratch yet, because there's some softwares that will do the basics for you, but they're not actually like testing and then returning the results. Like, it kind of just exists in some sort of vacuum where like it's not testing against how it actually performed. So there's no real
Yes.
feedback loop. But there are those sorts of softwares that are slowly coming out, which is good.
Have you been coding?
Vibe
Are you in the
coding.
code yet? Yeah.
I haven't done it as much as I think I should have done. I know we've got one of our directors is very, very into it, and has been sorting out a load of tech for us on our side and building so many new things. I think for me,
Yeah.
more recently, it's just been like using Claude as much as I can, like just
Yeah.
feeding it absolutely everything that I can about myself. I want, what I need, what are my goals, how I speak, how I do business, how I write email.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Claude at the moment, and ChatGPT to bounce some ideas around. But I've always wanted like some sort of like personal assistant. I think Claude helps a lot because the plugins that you actually get from it are really, really good, and it can help you action things a lot quicker.
Yeah. No, I mean it's amazing how you got this now spectrum of people are still using ChatGPT, like Google search, and then obviously you got Claude Code and just being in and building. It's
Hmm.
pretty amazing. Our engineers for sure have like 10x
Yeah, nice.
from the amount that of actual code they're writing, compared to sort of literally even last summer.
Mm,
Because sort of October, November, really it shifted where the coding was like really, really good.
yeah.
But it's interesting because I met with an investor yesterday who'd said, VCs now have a bit of a problem in that they now need to see how stable are these platforms if they've been, 92% coded by an AI. And they
Mm.
need to really go through that rather than before they would have sort of taken a CTO's stance on it. But yeah, I mean, the content creation side though, how does that sort of play into the world of content monetization? Because we're seeing more and more content that's just AI, right? And
Yeah.
AI influencers, for example, or creators, let's call them. Where's your stance on that?
Yeah, damn. AI generated content, I mean, like when it started getting pretty good was like the what was it? The Sasquatches, I think it was. The YouTube vlogs of
Yeah,
those guys. Yeah, just like obviously hilarious. But I think those started to, and the voice never really sounded that great, but now now it's like indistinguishable. And funnily enough, I did my dissertation on how influential AI influencers were, and in terms of
Yeah.
influencing your purchase habits and decisions. And like back then, I obviously picked out a few AI influencers that
Yeah.
they were just they were still had, some of them had millions of followers. They looked
Mm.
avatar-y. They definitely did. It wasn't super realistic, but now you've got like Google's one is like mental and super
Yeah.
realistic. But yeah, now I think there's platforms have got a really big role and responsibility in terms of like flagging between like AI content, verifying. If you're trying to impersonate a human, then obviously I think that's slightly dangerous. Well, not
Yes.
dangerous, but I think it's just slightly like more of an issue than it is if you're like making AI content about like what life was like in the Spartan era. I've seen some videos
Yes.
like that where it's like a bit more educational and you still are getting some really good things and you're learning about things that happen in your body and like in a very different way, but animations obviously become a lot quicker. So I think there's great AI generated content that deserves to be monetized, and as long as it's adding a lot of value. Whereas if you're just trying to like go down another road and like you can look at impersonating certain people, or like catfishing becoming probably a lot more of an issue now than ever before. So
Well,
yeah,
I don't know if it's. I mean, it's just going to be you're going to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a partner, let's say, that's AI. That you've.
yeah,
That
each their own. That's absolutely fine. If you're planning on having kids, probably wouldn't have one of those.
yeah, exactly. But it's what I find is an interesting place at the moment is speaking to a lot of digital marketers. They use a lot of these AI video creation tools to, test ads, maybe 100, 200 different iterations of an ad, which is
Hmm.
just mental. Whereas before, you wouldn't be able to do that because of say production, or you'd just be editing it. It's interesting because we have a couple of creators that are looking at sort of creating video content of themselves,
Hmm.
sort of just assisting with creating more content for, let's say, their platforms. So I agree. It's sort of needs to be the platform, in our case, us, to flag that it's not human, but it's getting so lifelike. It's getting
Yeah,
it's
it
getting
is.
harder, right?
It is, and I don't think it's a bad thing if it's forming like a digital twin, because
Yeah.
there's obviously days that some of your clients will be ill one day and then like can't produce as much content as they'd like. But it doesn't. I don't think they're ever going to change and just decide to like give up and have an AI digital twin just run everything for them. But obviously, it does support, and it can you can replicate in different ways and case different audiences as well if you want to change slightly your appearance. I think it's great because if you're still using yourself as like the baseline and you're still the same person. It doesn't matter what appearance you have, like you can just still connect with your audience in a certain way. And I think that's just a smart business decision to do.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Absolutely.
anything wrong with that.
No. And so, got some rapid fire questions for you. Okay.
Go.
So if you're a brand new creator starting out, has wants to get to that monetization stage, right? Wants
Mhm.
to get to the point where now I'm paying my rent and I can quit my job. What's your sort of basic advice to them getting started? It could be anything.
Get started, keep going. Consistency is key, and get 1% better every single time you post. Add something new and learn. It's probably like the main thing, and obviously
Okay.
post as many places as you can. It's pretty basic and simple, but like
Is
consistency is key.
okay. And then is there any, you're sort of in the content world, like, and actually create money from it. Are there any secrets to the algorithm that you can share?
I mean, the algorithms change all the time. So like it's not exactly like one little secret. I'd probably say like focus on your hook, focus on the first 3 seconds always. Like you are in the attention economy now, so you want to get as much attention as possible. So just keep experimenting with the hook, and then also reverting back to the last one. If you're looking to obviously start, don't think that you're going to be making your money. Like you got to be looking at this like a 2 year project rather than like, oh, I'll try it for 6 months. 2 years. 2 years, you need to
Okay,
really like go for it.
that's good to know. Does quality of content matter? Do I need a phone or a professional camera per se?
I think if you're just starting out, a phone's perfectly fine as long as you got a good phone.
Okay. And if you had to choose one platform, you've spoken about a few, obviously you mentioned LinkedIn, but if you had to choose just like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to post twice a day, or whatever it might be, got to choose one platform, one only. And why?
YouTube, YouTube or Facebook. Sorry, I know that's not the point of the answer, but like YouTube or Facebook, they're very different. YouTube because like it's always the most reliable. It always has been, and I think it probably always will be. It's in a sense, it's always YouTube first, and then Facebook. I'd probably say just because like it's the biggest social platform out there, and
Yeah.
you can build really good community with them, and they're always incentivizing creators to come over. Can be difficult to work with, but Facebook's
So Facebook, not Instagram? As in, or are you just talking about the
well,
whole meta?
Meta. I mean, like I would probably pay slightly more attention to Facebook just because you actually get better monetization tools and different criterias, whereas Instagram you're kind of capped at the moment anyway. So
That's interesting. Okay. Last two. What's going to happen in sort of 2026, 2027 in the creator economy? Is anything that you see sort of coming that's not quite here at the moment?
I think you're going to see a lot more original productions from streaming services. Tubi in particular, obviously doing a really good job at that at the moment in the US. I think you're going to see. I would like to see more sports creators, more well, actual sports athletes becoming creators, and like you've seen Erling Haaland this year, like really start to pick up. You need football players need to be getting more involved with this. Like
Yeah.
their career only lasts so long. You need to get ahead of the game. Golfers, like any unique sport, you can make it amazing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Love that.
that's
Love that.
that's you're going to see more of those.
Okay. Okay. And then last one. What one blog, book, channel that you follow is really shaping or shaped how you sort of, you're in this space now and sort of you guys are dominating? What's the one thing that a creator should listen to, read, whatever it might be?
If you're looking towards like the industry and like wanting to understand how things actually work, I would shout out Creator Upload podcast by Lauren Schnipper and Josh Cohen. Very good, very good.
Okay. And what do they go over? Is it just
I mean,
everything new?
everything, yeah, everything that is happening in the creator economy that week, all the news updates from obviously what like there's a YouTube Shorts program that's coming through, or like how Tubi's bringing TikTok creators and making them into actual productions. I think that I listen to it every week, so I'm a big fan of their podcasts. Just gives me everything I
Awesome.
need.
Yeah, awesome. And so where can everyone find you, Xander? Like LinkedIn, Instagram, what's the
Yeah,
handle?
yeah. LinkedIn's just Xander Wilkins with an X, and yeah, I'm doing my best out there to keep everyone
To
updated.
connect yourself. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for jumping on, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks, Xander.
Amazing. Thanks, Ben.